The day the ships came was just like any other. The sky was blue and people went about their normal lives. Then the shadows fell. Taehyun Kim stood on the roof of Seoul's military headquarters. At 42 years old, he had seen many battles. But nothing like this. He watched the massive alien ships block out the sun above the city. These dark vessels hung in the air like giant metal clouds. Next to him, Dr. Jia Park lowered her binoculars. Her hands shook slightly. "They're putting soldiers on the ground," she said quietly. Just like the message said they would. 3 days ago, all radios and TVs on Earth got the same message. It was short. "Your world now belongs to the Draven Collective. We claim Earth as our new colony. Do not fight back. It will only cause pain." The Draven had taken over 17 other worlds. In space, Earth was next on their list. Taehyun frowned as he watched smaller ships leave the big ones. "How many do you think there are?" "Too many," Jia said. She was Earth's best scientist when it came to alien life. For years, people had laughed at her work. Now no one was laughing. All around the world, armies tried to fight back. Planes flew up to attack the alien ships. Tanks fired at the smaller craft landing in cities. Soldiers shot at the tall, scaly aliens as they marched down streets. Nothing worked. The alien ships had special shields. Bullets, missiles, even the biggest bombs just bounced off them. The Draven walked through gunfire like it was rain. "Seoul Command, this is Beijing Base," a voice said from Taehyun's radio. "We can't hold them back. The city is—" The voice cut off. Reports came in from all over. New York had fallen. London was under alien control. The Draven were setting up centers in each city to count and sort humans, like farmers counting livestock. Taehyun looked at the distant shapes of aliens moving through Seoul's streets. People ran from them. Some were caught and taken away. "We knew this might happen someday," Jia said softly. She was right. In 2031, strange signals from deep space had been found. Most people never knew about them, but world leaders did. They knew someone else was out there, and they might not be friendly. That's when Protocol Omega started. 20 governments working together in secret, preparing for the worst, building hidden places, making new weapons, setting traps that no one could see. A heavy weight sat in Taehyun's pocket. His special phone buzzed. He took it out and read the message. Omega authorized. 48 hours. His heart beat faster. It was really happening. The last plan. The final defense. "They won. Gave the order," he told Jia. "Protocol Omega starts now." Her eyes widened. As a scientist, she had helped create part of the plan. She knew what it meant. What it would cost. "Will it work?" he asked her. Jia looked at the alien ships again. Her face hardened. "The Draven came here thinking Earth would be easy to take," she said. "They're wrong." Down in the streets, people were being herded into lines by the aliens. The Draven were tall, with scales that shimmered in the sun. They had 4 eyes set in a diamond pattern on their faces. They made clicking sounds when they talked to each other. "All humans will be processed," one of them announced through a device that translated their language. "Resistance is not allowed." Some people cried. Others looked angry but afraid. No one fought back. Not anymore. Special Draven officers moved through the crowds, picking out certain people. Anyone who looked like military or police. Anyone who seemed like a leader. In other parts of the city, the aliens were already setting up their own systems. They put strange metal boxes on buildings. They scanned the ground with devices that hummed and glowed. "They're looking for resources," Jia explained as she and Taehyun watched from their hiding spot. They had left the military building when aliens approached it. "Metals, water, energy sources." "What about people?" Taehyun asked. "What do they want with us?" "Labor, probably," Jia said grimly. "Workers for their mines and factories. Maybe test subjects." The message said they've done this 17 times before. They have a system. Night fell over Seoul. The alien ships glowed with strange lights. More were arriving. The sky was filled with them now. Taehyun and Jia made their way through back streets avoiding alien patrols. They needed to reach the access point, a hidden entrance to the underground network. "Stop there, humans," a deep voice commanded. They froze. 3 Draven soldiers stood behind them, weapons raised. The aliens' 4 eyes blinked in sequence as they studied the 2 humans. "You," one of them said, pointing at Taehyun. "You wear military clothing. You will come for special processing." Taehyun knew he couldn't be captured. He knew too much about Protocol Omega. But fighting was pointless. Then a sound like thunder rolled through the streets. The ground shook. The aliens turned to look at the source of the noise. A group of Korean soldiers charged around the corner firing old-style guns. Not modern weapons that did nothing against the aliens' armor, but simple shotguns loaded with special shells. The blast hit the first alien, and its armor cracked. It staggered back, surprised. These humans had weapons that could hurt them. "Run!" shouted the leader of the soldiers. "We'll hold them." Taehyun grabbed Jia's hand and they ran. Behind them, more thunder sounds, more alien shouts. They reached a small shop with a metal door at the back. Taehyun punched in a code and the door slid open. Inside, a tunnel led down into darkness. "Those soldiers," Jia said, breathing hard. "They sacrificed themselves for us." "They knew the plan," Taehyun said. "We all know what we have to do." The tunnel took them deep underground. After walking for an hour, they reached a large open space. It was filled with people working at computers and equipment. Maps on screens showed the whole world, with red dots where alien ships had landed. General Hyun Baek, an older man with gray hair, walked over to them. "You made it," he said. "Good. We need you both." "How many people have we gotten to safety?" Taehyun asked. "About 20% so far," Hyun replied. "The evacuation is happening, but slowly. We don't want the aliens to notice large movements of people." All around the world, similar scenes were playing out. Hidden bunkers under mountains, desert facilities, underwater bases, all filled with people escaping the alien invasion. On screens, around the room they could see feeds from cameras hidden in cities. The aliens were everywhere now, setting up their bases, taking over Earth piece by piece. "They think we've surrendered," Jia said, watching the images. "They think the war lasted 1 day and they won." Taehyun checked his watch. 45 hours until Omega activates," he said. "We need to get more people to safety before then." "And the ones we can't save?" asked a young officer nearby. Taehyun didn't answer. They all knew the truth. Protocol Omega would save Earth, but at a terrible cost. Some would be left behind. "We do what we must," Hyun said firmly. "The Draven came to take our world. Instead, we'll give them something else." On the screens, more alien ships arrived. The Draven thought they had won an easy victory. They had no idea what was coming. Taehyun looked at Jia, then at the countdown. Clock on the wall. 45 hours, he repeated softly. "Then they learn what happens when you try to conquer Earth." Suho Lee walked with his hands up. Alien guards marched him through the streets of what used to be Busan. Now the aliens called it Processing Zone 12B. The once busy city was quiet except for the heavy steps of the Draven soldiers. Suho was a military commander, but now he was just a prisoner. His uniform was dirty. He had been caught trying to help a family escape. "Move faster, human," said the guard behind him. The alien's name was Krell. He was bigger than the others. His scales had special marks that showed he was important. "The Archon wants to talk to all military people." The Archon was the alien boss for all of Asia. He was the one who gave orders to all the other Draven in this part of Earth. As they walked, Suho looked around carefully. He counted the alien soldiers. He noticed where they put their equipment. He watched how they moved and worked. All this information would be useful if he could escape and report back. The aliens had taken over most major cities in just 1 day. After the first day of fighting, Earth's armies seemed to give up. People stayed in their homes. Some went to work when the aliens told them to. It was as if humans had accepted their new alien rulers. This confused the Draven. They had expected humans to fight harder. Their studies showed that humans were stubborn and clever, They had prepared for a long war. Instead, most governments went quiet. Resistance was small and scattered. "Why did your people give up so easily?" Krell asked Suho as they walked. The alien sounded disappointed. "Our report said humans would fight to the end." Suho said nothing. He wouldn't tell the alien the truth, that billions of people were quietly moving to hidden places deep underground, that for years countries had built huge tunnels and rooms, beneath mountains and deserts where people could live. These underground places were special. They couldn't be found by the alien scanning machines. They had food, water and air systems that could work for months. It was all part of Protocol Omega. The plan wasn't to fight the aliens with guns and bombs. It was to make them think they had won easily, while the real plan happened in secret. Now, Suho was being taken to meet the Archon. He needed to seem defeated and scared. It was part of his job to keep the aliens thinking they had won. Miles away from Busan, under a mountain, Mina Kang helped hundreds of people find their places in the huge underground shelter. Just days ago, she had been a regular teacher at an elementary school. Now she was in charge of this section of the shelter. "Find your assigned rooms by looking at the color on your card," she told the crowd. "Blue cards go to level 3. Red cards go to level 4. Families moved through the tunnels carrying small bags of belongings. Children cried. Old people looked tired. Everyone was scared. A little boy tugged on Mina's sleeve. "Teacher, how long do we have to stay down here?" he asked. His eyes were wide with fear. Mina knelt down to look him in the eye. "Just long enough for the aliens to learn an important lesson," she said with a smile she didn't really feel. "Sometimes things that seem easy to take end up being the most expensive." She didn't tell him the whole truth, that in less than 2 days Protocol Omega would start, that the surface of Earth would become very dangerous, that they might be underground for months. Back in Busan, Suho was brought into a large building that used to be the city hall. Now it was the Draven Command Center. Screens covered the walls. Aliens worked at stations monitoring the occupation of Earth. The Archon sat on a raised platform. He was the biggest Draven Suho had seen. His scales were dark with bright patterns. When he spoke, his voice was deep and seemed to vibrate the air. "So this is a human military leader," the Archon said. He studied Suho with his 4 eyes. "Not very impressive." Suho kept his face blank. He had been trained for this. "Show nothing. Your species was smart to give up quickly," the Archon continued. "The Draven Collective has much experience bringing primitive species into our empire. We need workers. Those who cooperate will be treated well. Those who resist will suffer." The alien leaned forward. "We have noticed something strange. Our scans show fewer humans than we expected. Where have your people gone?" Suho shrugged. "People fled the cities when your ships came. They're hiding in the countryside." The Archon made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. "Hiding will not help them. We will find everyone eventually." A smaller Draven rushed into the room. "Excellent, Archon, we have a problem," he said. "Our deep scans are not working properly. We cannot see more than 20 feet into the ground." The Archon waved a dismissive hand. "It is the mineral content of this world. Adjust the scanners." He turned back to Suho. "Now, human, you will tell us about your military bases and weapon stockpiles." Suho knew he wouldn't be tortured. Not yet. The Draven wanted to seem civilized. They would try to get information through talking first. This gave him time. He glanced at a clock on the wall. 36 hours until Protocol Omega started. He just needed to survive and keep the aliens distracted until then. In the underground command center below Seoul, Taehyun and Jia worked with dozens of others to monitor the alien occupation. Screens showed feeds from hidden cameras in all major cities. "The evacuation is at 30%, reported a young woman at a computer. "We're moving as fast as we can without alerting the Draven." "Not fast enough," General Hyun said, looking at the countdown clock. "We need at least 60% in shelters before Omega activates." Jia pointed to a screen showing an alien ship landing near a mountain. "They're getting too close to Shelter 17. We need to distract them." Taehyun nodded and picked up a secure phone. Diversion Team 5, this is Command. Execute Plan Delta at these coordinates. He read off numbers. 20 minutes later, an explosion lit up a forest 5 miles from the shelter entrance. As they watched on the screens, alien ships raced toward the explosion, away from the hidden shelter. That will give us 2 more hours to evacuate that area, Taehyun said. Jia worked at her own station, reviewing data about the nanomachines that were the key to Protocol Omega. For 30 years, countries around the world had been releasing special tiny robots into the air, water, and soil. These nanomachines were so small they couldn't be seen. They were everywhere on Earth now, just waiting for the signal to wake up. Nanite systems are at 98% readiness, she reported. Once activated, they will target any technology with Draven energy signatures. And are protective measures for those who can't get to shelters? Hyun asked. The special suits and devices are being distributed, Taehyun said. But we won't have enough for everyone. His face showed the weight of that knowledge. They all understood the terrible math of Protocol Omega. Billions would be saved in the underground shelters. Millions would have protection on the surface, but some would be caught in the middle. It was a hard choice, but the only one they had. In Busan, Suho was put in a holding cell after his meeting with the Archon. Through the clear wall, he could see more human prisoners being brought in. Some wore military uniforms like him. Others were police officers or government workers. A guard brought him food, a bowl of something that looked like gray pudding. Eat, the guard ordered. The Archon has more questions for you tomorrow. Suho took the bowl and sat on the small bench in his cell. He ate slowly, counting the hours in his head. 34 hours until Protocol Omega began. 34 hours. Until the Draven learned that taking Earth would be the last mistake they ever made. Dr. Jia Park had not slept in 24 hours. She worked in the big lab 1 kilometer under the ground. Around her, 50 other scientists checked machines and ran tests. They were making sure Protocol Omega would work perfectly when the time came. How are the nanites responding? She asked a young man at a computer. All systems green, Dr. Park, he replied. The nanites in the air are at 99% readiness. Water systems are at 97%. Soil distribution is at 98%. Jia nodded. The tiny machines were everywhere now. In the air, people breathed. In the water of every ocean, lake, and river. In the soil of every continent. Waiting for the signal to wake up. General Hyun Bayek walked into the lab. His gray hair was messy, and dark circles showed under his eyes. He had been one of the first to plan Protocol Omega 30 years ago. Now, he would see it happen. Status report, he demanded. We're almost ready, Jia said. The atmospheric conditions are perfect for the next 3 days. Once we send the activation signal, the nanites will begin working within minutes. And they will only attack Draven technology, Hyun asked. It was not the first time he had asked this question. He needed to be sure. Yes, Jia confirmed. The nanites are programmed to recognize the unique energy patterns and materials of Draven technology. They will leave Earth technology alone. What she didn't say was that any human too close to Draven equipment would be in danger. The nanites wouldn't know the difference between an alien and a human standing next to alien technology. This was why the evacuation was so important. And are people on the surface? Hyun asked quietly. The special suits and devices will protect them and their equipment, Jia said. We've distributed as many as we could. On a big screen on the wall, they could see the evacuation numbers. 57% of the known human population was now in shelters. Time was running out. 24 hours left, Hyun said, looking at the countdown clock. Will we be ready? Jia looked at her team working hard at their stations. We have to be, she said simply. Above ground, the Draven continued taking control of Earth. Their ships landed in more cities every hour. Their soldiers marched through streets. Their machines dug into the ground looking for valuable metals and minerals. But something was bothering the aliens. Commander Krell stood in front of the Archon in the Busan Command Center. Excellent, Archon. Our census numbers are wrong, Krell reported. We have counted only 2 billion humans. Intelligence said there should be 8 billion. The Archon's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, showing his annoyance. Your counting methods are flawed. Humans are hiding in rural areas. We have scanned those areas, Krell insisted. They are not there, and our deep scanning equipment still cannot see more than 20 feet into the ground. It is as if something is blocking our technology. The Archon made an angry clicking sound. Are you suggesting these primitive beings have technology that can interfere with ours? Impossible. Continue your work. Find the humans. Krell left, but he was worried. Something was not right about this planet. The invasion had been too easy. The humans had given up too quickly. It felt like a trap, but how could primitive beings trap the mighty Draven? In his cell, Suho Lee sat quietly. He had been questioned for hours by Draven officers. He told them small truths mixed with lies. Yes, there were military bases in these locations. No, he didn't know about any secret weapons. The aliens seemed to believe him. A new guard came to his cell. This one was smaller than Krell, with lighter-colored scales. Human, the Archon wishes to speak with you again, the guard said. Suho stood up slowly. He felt tired, but he knew he needed to stay alert. What does he want now? He has questions about human behavior. Your species is acting strangely, not fighting back as expected. As Suho was led through the corridors, he saw more human prisoners. Most were military or government workers. They looked at him with blank faces, giving nothing away. They all knew their role: pretend to be defeated, reveal nothing important, and wait for Protocol Omega. The Archon was studying a 3D map of Earth. When Suho arrived, the map showed red dots where Draven forces were in control. Ah, the human commander, the Archon said without looking up. Tell me, why are your people not fighting harder? Our studies show humans are stubborn and resourceful. Yet you surrendered. Major cities with little resistance, Suho shrugged. We saw your technology. We knew we couldn't win. Humans are also practical. The Archon's eyes narrowed. Practical, yes, but also deceptive. I think you are hiding something. A Draven officer rushed into the room. Excellent, Archon. We have detected unusual energy readings from orbit. Small pulses coming from locations around the planet. The Archon turned to the officer. What kind of pulses? Unknown, Excellent One. They appear and disappear quickly. Our scientists cannot explain them. Suho kept his face blank, but inside, his heart beat faster. He knew what those pulses were. The final preparations for Protocol Omega. Hidden satellites were sending test signals to make sure the nanites would activate properly. The Archon looked at Suho with suspicion. Do you know what these energy readings are, human? No, Suho lied. Maybe it's just your equipment malfunctioning. Earth has many natural magnetic fields that can interfere with technology. Take him back to his cell, the Archon ordered, and bring me the human scientist we captured yesterday. Perhaps she will be more helpful. As Suho was led away, he heard the Archon give another order. Send a message to the fleet. Tell them to be alert for any signs of human resistance. Something is not right here. In the underground command center beneath Seoul, Taehyun Kim received an urgent message. The Draven have detected our test signals, a communications officer reported. They're becoming suspicious. How much longer do we need for testing? Taehyun asked. Dr. Park says 2 more hours, the officer replied. Then we can stop until the actual activation. Taehyun looked at the evacuation numbers again. 62% now. Better, but not good enough. Tell all evacuation teams to speed up, he ordered. We may need to activate Omega early if the Draven figure out what's happening. On another screen, he could see reports from around the world. Draven ships were still landing. Their forces were spreading out, setting up bases in every country. They were bringing in equipment to start mining operations. They thought they would be staying on Earth for a long time. They were wrong. In her lab, Gia finished the final checks on the activation system. The nanites were ready. All they needed was the signal. Dr. Park called a young scientist. Look at this. He pointed to a screen showing microscopic images of the nanites. The tiny machines were perfect, each one smaller than a human cell. Once activated, they would work together like a swarm of insects, taking apart Draven technology piece by piece. "They're beautiful," Gia said softly. She had helped design these machines. Each one was programmed to find Draven materials and break the bonds between molecules. Metal would turn to dust. Energy shields would flicker and die. But the nanites would do more than just destroy. They would also build. After breaking down Draven technology, they would use those materials to create protective barriers around important human structures. Earth would be healed even as the aliens were defeated. 18 hours until activation, announced the lab's computer. Gia took a deep breath. Soon the real fight would begin. In the shelter under the mountains near Daegu, Mina Kang helped distribute food to the families in her section. The underground space was crowded now. People slept in shifts because there weren't enough beds. "Will we be safe down here?" an old woman asked Mina. "When the plan starts?" "Yes," Mina assured her. "These walls are thick. Nothing can get through them, and we have enough food and water for 6 months if needed." She didn't mention that they hoped to return to the surface much sooner than that. If Protocol Omega worked properly, the Draven would be defeated within days. A small radio on Mina's belt crackled. "All section leaders report to command. Repeat, all section leaders to command." Mina hurried through the tunnels to the command room. Other section leaders were already there, looking at a big screen. "We have a problem," said the shelter commander. "Draven forces have set up a base only 2 miles from our main air intake. If they detect it, they'll find us." "Can we close that intake and use the others?" someone asked. "Not for long," the commander said. "We need all air systems working at full capacity with this many people." Mina thought for a moment. "What if we create a distraction? Something big enough to make them move their base?" The commander nodded slowly. "It would be dangerous. Anyone who goes up there might not make it back before Omega activates." "I'll go," Mina said. She thought of the children in her section sleeping in the crowded rooms. "Tell me what to do." The time had come. In the main control room beneath Seoul, Taehyun Kim stood before a large red button protected by a clear cover. Around him, military leaders and scientists watched in silence. On screens above them, they could see Draven. "Ship still arriving in Earth's skies. Evacuation status?" Taehyun asked. 76% complete, reported an officer. "All remaining surface personnel are equipped with protection devices." It wasn't perfect, but it would have to be enough. They couldn't wait any longer. The Draven were getting too close to discovering their plan. Taehyun looked at Gia, who nodded. He lifted the clear cover and placed his hand on the button. "May our children forgive us," he said softly. Then he pressed the button. At exactly 0600 GMT, 12 hours before the original schedule, Protocol Omega began. Hidden satellites in low Earth orbit sent out a special signal. This signal spread around the world in seconds, and the nanites woke. Up on the Draven command ship orbiting Earth, Captain Jorax was the first to notice something wrong. The screen in front of him flickered. "Engineering, check power systems," he ordered. "We have display malfunctions." But it wasn't just the displays. Across the bridge, other screens began to flicker and die. A strange dust appeared on control. Panels, Fleet Commander Drax stormed onto the bridge. "Report, what is happening?" "Unknown, Excellency," replied a panicked technician. His 4 eyes widened as he looked at his hands. The device he was holding was turning to dust. "Our systems are falling apart." On Earth, the effect was even more dramatic. In Busan, Suho Lee watched from his cell as the clear wall suddenly became cloudy. Then it crumbled into fine powder that fell to the floor. All around him, Draven technology was dissolving. The guard outside dropped his weapon as it turned to dust in his hands. Then his armor began to flake away. The alien's 4 eyes showed fear for the first time. "What have you done?" the guard asked, backing away from Suho. Suho stood up slowly. "We gave you a chance to leave," he said calmly. "You should have taken it." All across Earth, the same scene played out. Draven weapons dissolved. Their vehicles collapsed. Their communication devices turned to powder. The mighty alien army suddenly found itself stranded and defenseless on a hostile planet. In Seoul, the Archon watched in horror as his command center fell apart around him. Screens turned to dust. The 3D map of Earth disappeared as its projector crumbled. "Emergency protocol," he shouted. "Return to the ships." But no one could hear him. All communication systems were gone. Outside, Draven ships began falling from the sky. Their anti-gravity engines failed. Their hulls broke apart. The huge vessels crashed into empty fields or oceans, carefully directed away from cities by the nanites' programming. Mina Kang was on the surface when it happened. She had set up explosives to create a distraction near the Draven base threatening her shelter. But before she could trigger them, she saw the alien buildings start to collapse. Draven soldiers ran in panic as their equipment disintegrated. She pressed herself against a tree, hoping they wouldn't notice her. The special suit she wore would protect her from the nanites, but it wouldn't stop an angry alien from attacking her with bare hands. A Draven soldier ran past her hiding spot. He was tall and strong, but now he looked scared. His armor was gone, leaving only a simple bodysuit. He stopped and looked back at Mina. For a moment they stared at each other, human and alien. Then the Draven turned and continued running toward the mountains. In the command center beneath Seoul, Taehyun and Jia watched the destruction on their screens. The cameras showed Draven technology turning to dust everywhere. "Phase 1 is working perfectly," Jia said. "Nanite effectiveness is at 99.7% globally. Begin Phase 2, Taehyun ordered. Phase 2 was the next part of Protocol Omega. For decades, humans had built special weapons designed to attack Draven biology. These weapons used sound waves at frequencies that hurt Draven nervous systems, but didn't affect humans. All around the world, hidden speakers activated. They emitted a sound too high for humans to hear, but to the Draven it was agonizing. Commander Krell was trying to reach his ship when the sound hit him. He fell to his knees in the street, clutching his head. Around him, other Draven did the same. Their 4 eyes shut tight against the pain. Their bodies shook. Humans wearing special earplugs watched from windows or doorways. Some felt pity. Others felt satisfaction. All knew that Earth was fighting back. On the Draven command ship, the situation was desperate. Fleet Commander Drax ordered evacuation pods prepared, but the pods wouldn't launch. Their systems were failing too. "Get me communications," he shouted. "We must warn the homeworld." A technician worked frantically at a console that was slowly turning to dust under his fingers. "Partial system available, Excellency. 1 burst. Transmission possible." Drax pushed the technician aside and spoke into the remaining communications device. "Emergency alert to High Command. Earth resistance unexpected. They have technology beyond our intelligence reports. Recommend immediate—" The device crumbled before he could finish. Drax looked at his hands, now covered in fine gray powder. All around him, the mighty ship that had traveled between stars was falling apart. In the Archon's chamber, the Draven leader had one piece of technology still working, a personal shield generator implanted in his body. It protected him from the nanites and the sound attack, but he was alone now, cut off from his forces. He activated a hidden panel in the wall, revealing an emergency escape pod. As he prepared to launch, the door burst open. Suho Lee stood there, wearing the uniform of an Earth military commander. In his hand was a simple metal pipe. No fancy weapon, just basic Earth technology unaffected by the nanites. "Going somewhere?" Suho asked. The Archon's 4 eyes narrowed. You knew this would happen." "We tried to warn you," Suho said. "The message we sent back with your first scout ship, the one that said Earth is protected. You should have listened. The Draven Collective will send more ships," the Archon threatened. "Bigger ships, more soldiers. You cannot defeat us all." Suho smiled grimly. "Actually, we can. The nanites aren't just destroying your technology. They're learning from it, adapting, getting stronger. By the time your fleet arrives, our whole planet will be ready." The Archon lunged at Suho, his large body moving with surprising speed. But Suho was ready. He swung the pipe, hitting the small device on the Archon's chest that powered his shield. The device cracked. Immediately, the nanites swarmed over the Archon's body. His scales began to flake away. His eyes widened in pain and fear. "What is this?" he gasped. "This is Earth fighting back," Suho said, watching as the mighty Archon crumbled before him. Around the world, the same story played out. Draven soldiers, without their technology, were no match for the prepared human forces. The sound weapons left the aliens weak and confused. The nanites destroyed their equipment and attacked any implants in their bodies. Within hours, the mighty invasion force was reduced to scattered groups of frightened aliens, running for their lives on a planet that had turned against them. Orbit. The Draven ships became clouds of dust floating in space. A few emergency pods managed to launch, carrying terrified survivors away from Earth. They would carry the message back to the Draven homeworld. Earth was not a planet to be conquered. In Natir, the underground command center, Taehyun, received reports from around the world. Draven forces neutralized in North America. European sector clear of all alien technology. Asian command centers destroyed. He turned to Jia, who was monitoring the nanite activity. "How long until it's safe for people to return to the surface?" "Another 24 hours, she answered. "The nanites need time to process all the alien materials. Then they'll go dormant again." Taehyun nodded and looked at the screens showing the fallen Draven ships and defeated soldiers. "They came to take our world," he said quietly. "Instead, we gave them a scorched earth." 3 months had passed since Protocol Omega was activated. People were returning to the surface world. Cities were being rebuilt. Life was slowly going back to normal, though nothing would ever be truly the same again. Taehyun Kim stood at the window of a tall building in Seoul. The city looked different now. Many old buildings were gone, destroyed in the fighting or by falling Draven ships. New buildings were rising, made partly from materials the nanites had created from alien technology. "Quite a view," said a voice behind him. Jia Park joined him at the window. She looked tired but satisfied. She had been working non-stop since they returned to the surface. "I never thought I'd see Seoul again," Taehyun admitted. "There were moments when I thought Protocol Omega might fail." "But it didn't," Jia said. "It worked even better than we expected." She was right. The nanites had not only destroyed Draven technology, but had also used the materials to build new things for humans. Special metals that were stronger than anything Earth had before. Energy systems that were cleaner and more powerful. "The council is meeting in an hour," Jia reminded him. "They want our final report on the cleanup operation." The World Council had formed after the invasion. Old nations still existed, but they worked together now in ways they never had before. The Draven had united humanity against a common enemy. In a special room beneath the new United Nations building, a different kind of meeting was about to happen. Suho Lee checked the security systems one last time. The room was special. Its walls were lined with materials that blocked all signals. Nothing said here could be heard outside. In the center of the room stood a clear container. Inside was a Draven. Not just any Draven, but Sub-Commander Vrex, one of the highest-ranking officers captured during the invasion. For 3 months, he had been kept in a secure facility while humans decided what to do with him. "Is everything ready?" asked General Hyun as he entered the room. "Yes, sir," Suho replied. "The translation device is working. He can understand us and we can understand him." More people entered the room. Taehyun and Jia arrived. Mina Kang came in, looking very different from the elementary school teacher she had been before the invasion. She now led the education department of the New World government. The Draven watched them all with his 4 eyes. He looked smaller somehow, less scary than when the aliens had first arrived. Without his armor and weapons, he was just another living being. "Your translation device has been specially preserved," Taehyun told the alien. "We have a message we want you to deliver to your people." Vrex looked at each human in turn. "How did beings like you defeat the collective?" he asked. His voice sounded strange through the translator. "We conquered 17 worlds before yours." "Those other worlds made a big mistake," Jia explained. They tried to fight you directly, with whatever weapons they had. We spent decades watching you, learning how you attack. Protocol Omega was made just for the Draven, Hyun added. We could have tried to build bigger guns or faster ships. Instead, we made your perfect enemy, a defense that turned your own technology against you. The Draven's 4 eyes blinked, in a pattern that showed confusion. But you destroyed your own world to defeat us, your cities, your infrastructure. We didn't destroy our world, Mina said firmly. We sacrificed things that can be rebuilt. We pretended to give up easily. We let you land, spread out your ships and soldiers, and then we activated our real defense. Suho stepped closer to the container. His face showed no emotion as he spoke to the alien who had invaded his home. You came thinking Earth would be easy to take. Instead, you found a people willing to burn their own house down to get rid of pests. The words were harsh but true. Humanity had been willing to let their surface world be damaged to protect their species. It was a lesson the Draven had learned too late. Taehyun placed a small device on the table. It was made from repurposed Draven technology. This will send a message to your homeworld. You will tell them what happened here. You will tell them that Earth is protected. You will warn them that any species that tries to take this planet will meet the same fate, or worse. The Draven looked at the device. You want me to be your messenger? Why would I do this? Because you want to go home, Gia said simply. And because you know we're right. Your people need to understand what happened here. Vrex's scales shifted, color slightly, a sign of deep thought in his species. The collective would welcome you as allies with such tactical thinking. Your defensive capability is impressive. We're not interested in joining conquerors, Gia replied coldly. We're interested in being left alone. The device will send your message along with our own data about what happened, Taehyun explained. Consider it a warning to any species with similar ideas about Earth. The alien was silent for a long moment. Then he reached for the device. I will tell them the truth. That Earth is not what we thought. That humans are not what we thought. As Vrex recorded his message, Taehyun, Gia, Suho, and Mina stepped outside the room to give him privacy. Do you think it will work? Mina asked. Will they listen to the warning? The Draven will, Suho said confidently. They respect strength and clever tactics. They'll leave Earth alone now. But there are other species out there, Gia reminded them. The universe is bigger than we imagined. On a screen in the hallway, they could see images of the rebuilding effort around the world. New cities rising, new defenses being built. This time humans weren't hiding their weapons. They were making them visible, a clear warning to any watching eyes among the stars. Taehyun studied the images. The nanites have given us new materials, new energy sources. The Draven unknowingly helped us advance by centuries, and united us, Mina added. Before the invasion, nations were still fighting each other. Now we're working together. Inside the room, Vrex finished his message. The humans returned to hear his final words. I end with this, the alien said into the device. The species on Earth call themselves humans. They appear weak and divided. They are neither. They allowed us to believe we had won easily, while preparing our complete defeat. Their strategy was perfect. Their patience, extraordinary. If the collective values its fleet, it will never return to the planet called Earth. The device recorded these words, along with all the data from the invasion and its aftermath. Soon it would be placed on a small ship made from Draven parts. The ship would carry the message back to the alien homeworld. As they left the building, Taehyun looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, the Draven were rebuilding their fleet, healing from the loss of so many ships and soldiers. But they would not return to Earth, and if any other species thought about invading, they would hear the story of what happened to the mighty Draven fleet. What do we do now? Mina asked as they walked through the new streets of Seoul. We rebuild, Suho said. We make Earth stronger. And we look outward, Gia added. Now that we know what's out there, we need to be ready. Not just to defend, but maybe someday to explore. Taehyun nodded. The nanites had given them new technology. new understanding of space travel. Perhaps someday humans would visit other worlds, not as conquerors like the Draven, but as explorers and friends. First, we make sure everyone knows the lesson of the Draven, he said. Earth is not an easy target. Those who come looking for conquest will find only their own destruction. As he spoke, bright lights appeared in the night sky, a test of Earth's new defense system. The lights formed a shield pattern visible from space, a clear message to any watching eyes among the stars. Earth was protected. The scorched Earth had not been destroyed. It had been reborn, stronger than before. The end.